Welcome to another edition of Carnivore Radio. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Volopkin. And let's just kind of ease into things and talk about the political landscape first. Tim Scott exits. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Tim Scott was an excellent candidate, but he was a horrible campaigner. He was never able to get the momentum he needed. And unfortunately, I think he's an outlier in politics today because every message that he put out, every time he engaged, it was always positive. And for some reason, that did not resonate with voters.
I agree with that. I think he still may be in the offing for a VP spot, but however, his first debate performance was not highly regarded. So that
No,
might bring some issues to that.
yeah, that I think that had a lot to do with it. Again, he wasn't confrontational, and let's face it, a debate is a confrontation. Uh, on the other hand, I think him dropping out clears a lot of the way for Nikki Haley.
I hope so, because we've talked about that. I mean, I will easily vote for Trump over numbnuts, but given the choice, Haley, oh God, I would feel so great about that. No baggage, no insanity, no nonsense, and I think she would clean Biden's clock. Your thoughts?
Oh, we know she
Like
would. Polls,
Reagan-esque,
you know,
a Reagan-esque landslide.
the latest polls have Trump beating Biden by 4 points. They also have Nikki Haley beating Biden by 8 points. And the reason it's such a big deal for Tim Scott to drop out is because both Haley and Scott are from South Carolina. So this is going to stop the South Carolina vote from being split.
Fantastic. I think there's a real now. Again, our listeners really look forward to your analysis, and so do I. I don't care what the polls say. I think if Nikki Haley shows up strongly or demonstrates a strong performance in the initial primaries, I think it's a game changer. Wishful thinking, possibly, but I think the polls are just the polls. They're not. The rubber has not met the road yet.
Yeah,
Your
no,
thoughts?
you're right. The rubber hasn't met the road yet. We are still way too early to count on what the polls say. Again, this time in 2015, Trump wasn't even a blip. This time in 2011, Obama was getting crushed, and yet he came back to win. Trump came back to win. So yeah, it's too early to really depend on the polls. I think if Haley does well in the initial primaries, especially New Hampshire and Iowa, I think that will give the never Trumpers, the people who are tired of Trump's antics, somebody to coalesce around. And I think that's actually going to give Trump a run for his money. I don't know if she'll be able to beat him, but it'll be close. I think it'll be closer than people think.
I actually do 100% agree with that, and I think you are 100% also correct. It's Iowa, New Hampshire. That's it. That's it. Those two. That's it. Then after that, if there's no, if she doesn't get traction, it's Trump's. Sorry. It just is.
Yes.
Very good. Speaking also on the political front, Joe Manchin has dropped out. I think I'm sorry that Chucky Schumer and Biden really screwed him over because he could never win in West Virginia anyway. And there's increasing speculation that he will throw his hat in the ring for a third party run, and also that dovetails on RFK's rather strong polling numbers in a three-way race, 23 to 26%. A lot to digest, but your thoughts?
Yeah. The American voters very clearly want a choice that is not Trump or Biden. And I think it's more than just idle speculation that Joe Manchin is going to do a third party run. He has already announced that he is going to be touring America speaking to more centrist audiences. Well, if that's not a run up to a no labels run, I don't know what is.
Yeah, unless he likes, putting mileage on his car. Yeah, I'm just kidding. Obviously, no question about it. Even he was on a couple of those Sunday shows 2 weeks ago, and I've seen him a long time ago. I'm thinking maybe a year ago. He was a lot more emphatic about not running. He basically was giving a wink and a nod that he was. I think it's interesting. I think it's not good news for Uncle Joe. Your thoughts?
No, it's definitely going to tank Biden. Remember, Manchin was still a lifelong Democrat. So he is
Yes.
going to pull Democratic votes. RFK Jr. was a lifelong Democrat. He is going to pull Democratic votes. So I don't think Joe Biden can survive the onslaught, especially since Manchin is going to pull, actually, both Manchin and Kennedy are going to pull more centrist Democrats, while the left is already saying they may stay home and not vote for Joe Biden.
It's really not looking good. And to that point, you have, continuing having Obama's minions come out and basically put the knife into Biden. Axelrod, not a big fan of him for various reasons, but that's another show. Basically, again, not this last Sunday, but this Sunday, dissing Biden, age, other things, and Biden was basically it's been uncovered that Biden basically called him the P word, and it rhymes with stick.
Yes. Yeah, I think that was unprofessional of Biden, although let's face it, he's called people worse.
Unprofessional.
It's not a big
He,
I don't really think it's a big deal. But I do find it interesting
I think it's getting under his
how
skin is my only point in
oh
mentioning that.
yes.
When you talk about professionalism, Biden exactly is not the number one person that comes to my mind. I'm talking even years ago. Yeah, I think it's just getting to him.
Oh,
That's my only
I'm
point.
sure
Go
it
ahead.
is. Now, I just wonder what, we've talked about the Night of the Long Knives coming out, but is it a coincidence that all of these people that have started to come after him are all Obama operatives, and they all started coming after him after he announced absolute support for Israel? We know Obama
There,
is anti Israel. We know he's anti Semitic. Is that what finally caused these people to come out and try to take Biden down?
I don't think it caused them. I think it was Obama directed them,
Yeah.
or basically pushed them. However, whatever phraseology you want to say, it was Biden's gave the okay to basically get out the knives. They never liked each other to begin with, and Biden, the slash anti-Semite from Kenya, basically said toast to Biden.
Yeah. And, I would think that Obama would be a lot more tolerant of Biden and actually like him a lot more. Because if it weren't for Joe Biden, Barack Obama would be going down as the worst president in my lifetime. And Biden took,
Oh, him and Jimmy
yeah,
Carter, God bless them, should just be doing, rumba dances because and by the way, speaking when Obama speaks, so you say, he had really nothing really profound to say unless it had to do with racism, which was his bailiwick. But now he seems like actually like a Mensa candidate compared to Uncle Joe.
yeah, I mean,
Well, everyone does really. I know
everybody
there's some.
does. But,
Yeah, yeah. Let's be honest.
Carter, you always got the feeling he was trying to do what was best for the country, even if he screwed it up. Obama never got that idea. It was always his agenda, his way or the highway. And now even other Democrats are coming out and saying he's always been anti Israel, he's always been anti Semitic. Bill Maher just came out saying, it's time to stop this equivalency. It's simply not true. Alan Dershowitz came out saying he was always violently anti Israel and anti Semitic. So, yeah, I mean, Obama is showing his true colors now.
100% agreed. No question about it. Biden is expected to uh, meet with Chinese leadership. There is actual, and you shouldn't be really surprised, I shouldn't say it that way, but there is concern in his administration and outside his administration that given his mental decline, it could be nothing but a disaster. As San
Just
Francisco prepares for the cleanup, go ahead, your thoughts.
Yeah, San Francisco said, grandpa's coming to town. We have to clean the apartment. So they started clearing out the homeless from San Francisco, cleaning the streets. Now, where was this effort to clean up San Francisco when businesses were leaving, when the taxpayers were suffering under rising crime rates, rising pollution, and literal human feces on the streets? So the tax
Well, it's to the point of liberals really don't give a shit about their so-called constituency. That's
in
just
this
a
case,
foregone
literally.
conclusion. I like that one. Very good, Lopkin. Yes, so it's always been the case that there. And by the way, it was Bill Maher, I believe, who said that the Democratic Party is now a party of elitists, and it has completely flipped over the last 10 years. I 100% agree with that.
Oh, he's definitely correct. Although I don't know that it's 10 years. I think it's longer than that. I think it goes back to Obama. But you're seeing so many lifelong Democrats going, you know what? Enough is enough. The party left me. I didn't leave the party. And now they're seeing the anti Semitic left wing of the squad yelling, of course. I love the footage. You can see this on YouTube. The squad yelling that they've been labeled anti Israel and they've been labeled anti Semitic. Nobody labeled them. They labeled
You
themselves,
are.
right? They labeled
Yeah,
themselves
you
that by
are.
their own comments. And in fact, it was just revealed that Rashida Tlaib is a member of a private group on Facebook called the Palestinian American Congress, the founder of which is blatantly anti Semitic and constantly posts anti Semitic rants, including denying that the Holocaust happened. So, yeah, nobody's labeling you this. You went off the deep end, and now the more centrist Democrats are starting to realize, you know what? We gave in too much. We wanted to try to keep the party together, but these folks are destroying us.
Yeah, they're absolutely destroying us. I think the craziness, the whack job bullshit that's going on, even in college campuses, which I think really was one of the. I'm serious. I'm really gonna have to say, even though people did suffer in this, I'm talking about on college campuses. I think it really lifted the curtain up and what's really going under the hood in these elitist schools. They're downright anti-Semites. It's not just anti-Israeli. And by the way, NYU is being sued from some of their Jewish students for not doing enough, for basically encouraging anti-Semitism. Long overdue. I think it's a fantastic move.
It is overdue. I think more colleges are going to have to go through that. Harvard just instituted a new policy to protect Jewish students from anti-Semitism, and a
Little
hundred
too little, too
and
late, dude.
160 Harvard faculty members wrote an open letter denouncing this, saying that it's a violation of their freedom of speech. They are fighting for anti Semitism. 160 Harvard faculty.
Doesn't surprise me. This whole thing is an indoctrination. And again, we've talked about higher education. We've talked about, our educational system overall. But it really shows you, to me, it really does, not just because I'm Jewish, but it shows me, it's a big indicator. And it's not even just, it's beyond anti Semitism or anti Israeli sentiment. It's what's really going on. You're paying big buku bucks to go to these schools, and what you're really learning is everything that has no bearing on a real job. That's that's the real issue, and it's been exposed that they're really. And let's just diagnose this, dissect this a little further. If they're the elitist universities and these shitheads are protesting, it shows me that they're not really getting a real education in world history. They're getting an indoctrination. They don't know shit about history.
No, they don't know anything about history. But I think even more concerning than that is they're showing they don't know anything about current events. I have seen interview after interview where people are talking to protesters and they're asking, well, what do they think about the attack on October 7th? And these are people at pro-Palestinian protests, and they don't know what happened. They are completely unaware of what Hamas has done. And it's like, how can you hire somebody with that level of ignorance?
Yeah, but it's pretty much broad brushed in terms of the liberal mindset, if that's the right word to use. I'm not so sure it is. I remember I asked them one, obviously not a scientific study, a woman that was going to the Virginia rally. Okay, I asked her, "What are you protesting?" And she couldn't give me an answer.
No,
But
that
that's indicative of the liberal mindset. It's
yes,
no joke.
that
It's
that is
true.
actually becoming very common. When you ask these protesters what they are protesting, most of them don't know. They just think it's cool to protest. It's what they're supposed to be doing. And it's like they have no idea of the issues, they have no idea of the damage they're doing. And of course, all they're
Yeah, I
doing.
think it's also bigger than that is when you're a spoiled brat and you're an entitled piece of shit, you protest things because you got nothing friggin' better to do. You're a spoiled little brat. If you really had to work and put your way through school, you wouldn't be effing around, uh, spray painting blood on things and talking about shit you don't understand. How do you like that one, Dr.
Yeah,
Lopkin?
and what's really amazing is that these people who are defending the most horrific violence we have seen in decades are the same people that a year ago were saying, well, words hurt and that hurt my feelings and I need a safe space to recover from this. It's like, really? You think words hurt, but you're okay with rape, beheadings, and hostage taking. This is,
And incinerating babies in front of their
yes.
mothers. That's fine. That's cool. That's no problem.
So I mean, these
And
people
do
have
they know?
no
Do these
clue.
idiots? Do they? No. Do these idiots also know that 70% of Arab people living in Israel actually have an affinity and an affection for Israel? Do they know that?
Yeah,
I don't think
no,
so.
they
Just going out on a limb.
they have no idea what Israel is really like. 70%
0.
70% of Muslims that live within Israel are siding with the Israelis over the Palestinians. People who have moved to Israel from South Africa, we're talking about Black folks who have lived under true apartheid, who have been living in Israel, have been saying that it is a complete lie that Israel is an apartheid government. And these
I
are
didn't see that. I didn't see
no,
that. I didn't see that on CNN, Dr. Lopkin. What
no,
happened? Did I miss that?
CNN's not talking about it. The networks aren't talking about it. MSNBC doesn't want to talk about it because it blows their narrative out of the water. People that actually live there and who know what Hamas is capable of and what they've been doing and what Hezbollah has been doing and what they are capable of. They are siding with Israel. It is only these ignorant effers that are defending the terrorists.
And I believe the media is a collaborator in all this. support for Israel is actually a little bit on the decline. And I actually blame the media. Things like not showing the difference, the stark difference between the pro Palestinian protesters and the almost 300,000 pro Israeli supporters, a stark difference that never made it on CNN or MSNBC.
No,
Surprise, surprise, Gomer Pyle.
it was a massive difference. First of all, let's just look at the numbers. No pro-Palestinian rally has ever brought that many people together. So you've got 300,000 people coming to Washington, D.C. And quite frankly, it might have been more. But we are now learning that chartered buses who were supposed to pick people up from the airport and take them to the protest, chartered buses that were supposed to pick people up in Connecticut and bring them down to Washington, D.C., the bus drivers decided to boycott and not drive the buses yesterday. So you have Hamas loving bus drivers trying to keep people away from the protest and fortunately failing. But on top of that, take a good look at the protest itself. Not one violent outbreak, not one fist fight, nobody shouting. And on top of that, nobody hiding their faces. These were 300,000 people who were proud to say they are standing against anti-Semitism and they are standing with Israel, where the Palestinian protesters hide their faces because they're afraid of people knowing that they actually believe this. Well, guess what? If you're afraid of people knowing it, then you know that you are in the wrong.
Well said. My only suggestion would be I think they should stick to learning how to drive a bus and not get into the political discussion. Just a little thought there. Who am I to say? But it is still troubling that basically the Senate Democrats uh, blocked the pure Israeli funding, and they couldn't separate that, including Jewish members like Richard Blumenthal, because all Democrats voted not to go ahead with the decoupling, and Chucky Schumer. So what the f is going on with these knucklehead idiots? And they should immediately be replaced. And any Jew that votes for these morons is a moron themselves.
Yeah, Schumer gave a major speech at the rally,
Yeah, speeches are bullshit.
right,
Yeah.
promising that Israel would get all of the aid it needed. And he is the Senate majority leader, and he could not gather his troops to pass that Israel aid. And of course, at the same time that was going on, Joe Biden waived more sanctions on Iran and gave them access to another $10 billion of money. Well, guess where that money's going? And the Biden administration keeps saying it's for humanitarian aid only. Meanwhile, Iran's leaders have publicly stated, we're going to spend that money any way we want.
Okay, can I just give a little example? I mean, this is not exactly economics 950 from an MBA program. If you have a household budget of $100,000 a year or whatever, and someone volunteers to pay for your groceries that are $25,000 a year, guess what? You have $25,000 that are now freed up. Oh, gee, that's an amazing concept.
Right. The odds are you're not going to buy an extra $25,000 in groceries. You're going to put that money to other uses. Well, that's exactly what Iran is doing. Obama gave them pallets of money. Biden has been freeing up money for them from the sanctions, and we are seeing the result. They are funneling this money to Hezbollah, to Hamas, to Islamic Jihad. And it is not just Israel. They are funding the terrorist groups that are firing on American troops.
Got Obama's footprint all over it. Great show, Dr. Lobkin. We won't be back next week, will we?
No, we will be taking some time off for Thanksgiving. So I'd love to take this opportunity to wish all of our listeners a happy Thanksgiving. Think about what you're grateful for because this world needs more gratitude. And we will see you after the holiday when we come back the week after Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Dr. Lobkin.
And of course, you can catch every episode of Carnivore Bites at xvadio.com/podcasts, the Carnivore Radio website, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech.
Thank you, my friend. You have a great Thanksgiving yourself.
You too. We'll see you next time.